Ready when you are.
All right, we are recording. So, hello everyone. Thank you for joining me for another podcast, eGen Solutions podcast. And I am joined today by Kevin Garber of ManagerFlitter. And I'm so excited to bring this to you and to have him talk about his program because I just think it's phenomenal. And I found it and I've been using it. And I wanted everyone else to have an opportunity to learn more about it and to use it. So, I'm going to hand everything over to Kevin, who is founder and CEO, by the way, of ManagerFlitter. And he's going to really explain how to use it and really how to engage a little bit more on Twitter. And actually, before we even do that, I want to find out how you've won all these awards. And I'm going to show you. You have won a lot of awards. I'm going to share my screen with everybody here. And it's for ManagerFlitter, right?
That's it. Yeah.
And you've won a Shorty Award, right, in the apps category.
That was an interesting award. It was actually one of our most exciting awards because the product that won in our category was Instagram back in 2012. So we were up against Instagram. So we didn't have and this was when Instagram was just booming in 2012, but we were very flattered to be in a category. I think there were only four or five of us chosen as finalists in that category, and we flew to New York and went to a really great award ceremony there, and Instagram won that category. We were a finalist in that category, which was very flattering and very exciting.
Nice. But just to be finalists, I mean, to be, like you said, in that category with Instagram, it's amazing. That's great.
Yeah, and those were the heady times. That was 2012. Twitter was the Wild West then. The industry moves so fast, it seems like so long ago.
Right? Everything has changed so much. So tell me a little bit about how ManagerFlitter started and a little bit about your background, because I know you've had an agency as well.
Sure. I come from, I started actually an email marketing agency back in the day. I was helping big corporates with their email newsletters. I got involved in email newsletters and email marketing when a lot of these companies didn't even understand it. I remember sitting in a meeting with a chap in Sydney. I think it was actually a big recruitment company. And he said to me with all sincerity, he said, "Kevin, explain to me, email's free. Why do I have to pay you to send out an email to my customers?" And he wasn't trying to be facetious or clever. You know, it's so easy, as we've just mentioned, to forget how fast things move. You know, most companies in the day, they weren't sending out email newsletters. So I saw the gap and started selling email newsletter services to these companies and built up a small agency. And we had some nice corporate customers, and I learned cut my teeth in creating a business from nothing. And there was no such thing as early stage venture funding or angel funding. It was just, you start it with and pull yourself up by your own bootstraps. I'll cut through some of the other details, but then I discovered Twitter at a conference in San Francisco, at the TechCrunch Disrupt conference. I arrived at the conference, I think it was 2008 or 2009, and everyone was using this thing called Twitter. And I was like, okay, that's interesting. And I hopped on and I instantly fell in love with it. It was everything I love about online. It was community. It was sharing information. It was being able to follow smart people. I actually remember the first time that I really got a massive dopamine hit. I joined and I followed Jason Calacanis. And Jason Calacanis is he's internet famous in the tech startup world. And he was one of the co-founders of the TechCrunch Disrupt conference. And he followed me back. And
isn't that exciting when that happens? It's
ooh. In those days, it was particularly exciting because it was all new, right? Yep. So to have someone, whether their assistant followed you back or they followed you back, or there was any link to them followed you back, I was like, wow, Jason just followed me back.
But I think even back then, I don't know that there were third-party apps when Twitter first started. It was pretty manual for everyone. So
yeah. Everything was manual. I mean, they started emerging quite quickly. I mean, Twitter opened their API, and this was in the days where the sentiment was exactly opposite to it is now. A lot of the vision was of the companies having, fantastic open APIs, and everyone's building and integrating and doing all these exciting things. And Twitter was saying, come and build on our API. And Twitter were having conferences for developers to show them how to build on the API. So I fell in love with Twitter, and I happened to be working with a very, very smart developer who landed up becoming my co-founder in ManagerFlitter. And I said to him, it would be really great if, like, my account's getting cluttered. It would be really great if I could just find an easy way of decluttering my account. That was the first real pain point that I wanted to solve for myself. And of course, it was all trendy to build on the Twitter API. So we were looking for a reason to build on the Twitter API. Mm-hmm. And James, being a developer, wanted an excuse to build an API. And he gave it to an intern at the time. And he said, oh, look, I'll get her to do some proof of concept. She did a proof of concept. And he spent the next few days just cleaning it up. And I used it. And I was like, wow, this is amazing. We released it for free. People started tweeting about it, and that was it. And the product evolved from there. This was 2010, so quite a long time ago. And
yeah, but not really. Yes, but no.
Yes, but no. In our industry, it's dinosaur times. But in the real world, nothing. It's the time compression that happens these days is incredible. So that was released, and we just kept on building on the product. And here we are today with nearly 4 million people have tried the product at least once. Those aren't all paid users, so it is a little bit of a indulgent metric, but it's still nonetheless 4 million human beings or 4 million Twitter accounts have logged in and had a look through our system. So, I think one thing I'd like to just share with your listeners as well is that I'm from the suburbs of Johannesburg. I grew up in Johannesburg, and I moved to Sydney in my early 20s. And no fancy pedigree or trust fund or anything like that. And I was lucky enough to have a good education, which is definitely incredibly fortunate. But it's possible if your dream is to have a small business or even to have a bit of a product business. Don't get intimidated by the Silicon Valley, Stanford, MIT pedigree, funding sort of scenario. In this day, more than ever, there are fantastic ways to build your small business and to build a startup. Go for it. There are books, there are resources more than ever. It's just unbelievable. Don't get intimidated. Go for it. Learn on the job. Find a way to fund your bread and butter. I was funding my bread and butter when I started my agency through lecturing at university. That paid for my food and my rent. So find a way to pay your food and your rent. And go for it. And that's one thing that I'd really like to share with people is that don't get intimidated. If you want to do it, if you've got the passion, just do it.
Yeah, that's how I built my business as well, is the same way. And if I didn't know something, because even for us, social media was so new back in 2009, who's going to sell on Facebook? Who's going to do that stuff?
Sure.
And so really teaching companies and really immersing within it. And there were no books on this. As you know, there's no books. You had to go to the source itself, which was Twitter, correct? And learn everything through them, correct? For the API. Did I hear that right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, Twitter themselves were a startup, and Twitter themselves were still learning and growing. And there've been a lot of left turns by Twitter in terms of their API. And to be honest, it's really difficult building on social APIs, and it's becoming more and more difficult. And that's why, we used to have dozens of competitors. A lot of weekend developers would build products similar to ours on the weekend, and they'd be dozens of competitors, and they'd fail to scale and fall over. So Twitter have made some changes because they're also learning as well. And Facebook, I tell people, Facebook's having challenges with fake news and the Russian meddling, etc. And I can guarantee you, when Mark Zuckerberg was building this product, that was the last thing on his mind. He's a tech guy.
Right.
He wasn't thinking, wow, one day I'm going to have to worry about Russian influence in the elections.
I have to go in front of Congress.
Yeah. So we all learning, and yes, there wasn't much at the time, and I was lucky enough to work with James, who was a very unique engineer, and we worked very well together. And but the more you're out there on the surfboard, the more luck passes your way, right?
Right. And actually, I'd like to go back to that part that you were talking about competitors, because that's actually how I found your product. Was I was working with a program similar, and they did fail to scale and are having problems now, working with everything, like as you said, with Twitter's API. So very happy to have found you. And I am a paid user, so we can put that disclaimer out there.
We do.
But
We
yeah,
do appreciate that.
yeah. And so I'm still learning the program itself. But maybe we could get into the juicy stuff of what
Sure.
ManagerFlitter can do and can do for a business. So would it help if I show the screen?
Sure. I'll just give a big picture description, which
Yeah.
I like to say is, the very zoomed out view is ManagerFlitter is a social media management app, but at the moment, the core features are related to existing as a search, filter, and sort tool for Twitter. So a set of tools that sits over your Twitter accounts and helps you do things like even see who's unfollowed you, see who you're not following back, see who's not following you back, finding new accounts to follow and easy ways for you to follow those accounts. It's sort of like a set of SEO tools, but the equivalent of a set of SEO tools for Google, but a set of tools for Twitter to help you get more out of Twitter. In an ideal world, we are all Justin Bieber and have 1 million people follow us a day and go to our website. In a non-ideal world, we've got to nurture things. We've got to optimize things.
Right.
And our tool helps you sort of get more out of Twitter, because a little bit of pruning, a little bit of curation, a little bit of effort can actually go a long way on social.
Yeah, and you want to get to that point of engagement and getting in front of your ideal audience for your business as well. But I think the one feature, and I'm going to show you my dashboard here.
Sure.
The one feature that I like is just the search and allowing and being able to find people and using the hashtags and really kind of watching the different things that you can do. Can you tell me a little bit more about the analytics portion?
Sure.
Do you want me to click on it here? My little account.
So, actually, most of our users are small accounts similar to yourself. So it's not littler than usual. There's a few different aspects to the analytics, and in fact, analytics is one of the areas that we've targeted to improve significantly. So we've actually for those of you that are interested in a little bit of a under the hood, there may be other ManagerFlitter users understanding of where we're at with ManagerFlitter. We've spent actually quite a bit of time of totally rebuilding our back-end architecture. So what happens over time with technology products is there's accumulates what's called technical debt. Picture it like a kitchen becoming messy and disorganized, and every now and then you got to just do a deep clean and reorganize your kitchen. The next stage is we're going to be making a lot of nice changes to the actual front-facing side of the product. So analytics, you can see your account growth, you can see your followers growth, your following growth. There's also a tweet analytics feature where you can track a keyword on Twitter, which we use. We've got a Twitter chat, and we track. I just actually tweeted that out, tracking the progress. Last week we had 600 tweets around the hashtag social ROI tweets. This week we had 800 on the social ROI tweets. So that's quite useful to track a specific hashtag. Of course, we are limited in some of this data by what Twitter provides. And one of the difficult things in building on the Twitter API is we get caught a little bit sometimes between Twitter and our users, and they get frustrated and they're like, why can't you do this? Why can't you bulk unfollow 10 accounts at a time? Well, we can't. Twitter doesn't let us. So that's one of every business has got its unique challenges. It's one of our unique challenges is trying to in a way, we've got two sets of users in a way. One of them is obviously our paid users, and we've also got to keep Twitter happy as well, because they were, it's their platform. So
they'll shut you down if they don't like what you're doing.
Yeah, and look, it's in fairness. A lot of people are critical on Twitter about Twitter and the API, and they've got to look after their own interests. They've got shareholders, et cetera, et cetera. So, anyway, I digress. So,
So this is also good because I do events as well. So if you're doing a branded hashtag for events and you want to see people talking about the event, this is a great way to monitor that. There's a lot of other programs out there, but this carries it all in one dashboard, and especially right with your account. So this is great.
And it's also very cheap. I mean, there's a lot of fantastic high-end products, but you look at those prices, wow.
Yeah.
And that's because they pay for full Twitter data access, etc. We just use their public API, which is free.
But you can see the tweets here, and obviously, as you said, there's a huge growth, right, that you were talking about.
Yeah, that's not actually capped because it's only going back, because you just triggered that keyword now. It's actually just missing last week's sort of chat. So it's actually, what I'll do is, if you go to my Twitter account, just twitter.com/KE_GA. That's it. You'll see one of my recent tweets. I actually shared. Just scroll down.
That's talking about me.
That's it. Mentioning you're going to be on the podcast. I love being on podcasts. So there, if you click on that one.
This one here?
Yeah, if you click on that screenshot, you'll see.
It goes back to September.
Actually, just close that. The tweet before.
Yeah, there we go.
If you click on show, that one. Click on that one.
Okay.
Yep. Okay. So there you go. There you can see
it goes up.
The social ROI sort of weekly chats and how that. So the limitation of this tool is by using the public API is it maxes out at 1,500 tweets per day, I think. So for instance, for very big hashtags, if you're tracking pizza or Coca-Cola or Nike, or the tool doesn't become as useful. It becomes useful for quite niche smaller, because again, we're using the public API. If we would get access to full Twitter data, they'd charge us the earth, and we'd have to charge customers the earth, and we haven't quite worked out that business combination yet. But yeah, so you can track a hashtag on Twitter using the tweet analytics, and you can also get an email every day that just graphs out your Twitter growth, your followers you're following. I actually like that. Every day I get an email on my personal account. It also tells you the accounts that have followed you. It also lists the accounts by highest influence. This is in an email.
Yeah. There's another thing that's really good for. I was hoping we were going to talk about that.
Sure, what's that?
No, the influence part. And like you said, the email.
Yep. Yeah, so.
But you can see here how the hashtag has grown just over, and that's your weekly chat session. I call them Twitter chats. Is that what you? Yeah,
we call them Twitter chats as well. They're great, by the way. If someone's looking at marketing their business or raising visibility, and a lot of, there's still tons of industries that don't do any Twitter chats.
I know.
Super easy to do. Like everything requires a bit of effort and commitment, but I'm surprised people. And I wish Twitter would actually create some tools for Twitter chats. An incredible opportunity for them to sort of augment the community aspect of their platform would be Twitter chats. People are essentially doing that in any case, but it's hard, and it would really fly if you could create a type of Twitter chat room on Twitter that lasts for a little while. But anyway, I've got a lot of Twitter ideas, and
you do have a lot.
I'm sure everyone's always giving them advice how to improve their product.
Right. Well, and the search is the other one that I think is very good, because especially when you're trying to connect with people, or you're just starting out with your Twitter account, to really search and to find out who you're going to follow on Twitter. I like this feature. And correct me if I'm wrong, but can't you even look by zip code? Am I correct in that?
You can look by location, being city.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure if you can put in the zip code. That's a good question. I don't think so.
Your competitor can. They could.
Okay.
But maybe
we can try.
It may have changed. But even just the city is so helpful to be able to put that in and see the Twitter accounts and the tweets that are happening within that city. It's huge.
Zip code might work. One of my challenges is our product has become so vast, that for me to stay across every aspect and nuance of the feature is
So I was just
difficult.
going to say, is that more of a United States thing versus us? Because you're in Australia, so is that not, you know what I mean? It might be just a United States thing.
Yeah, I mean, we have a similar thing called postal codes.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm trying. Is this, let's see, account search, location, any city? Yeah, I don't think it's, if you give me, what's a zip code? If you give me an
Of
example.
32814. I thought I did see that in there though when I was playing around with this, but maybe not.
Let's see, I'm doing an account search. Yeah, no, it doesn't seem to work.
Well, it picks up the number, but it picks up like the numbers and pictures.
Yeah,
So it
it's
works.
picked up.
Although, yes, if someone does put a zip code in there, John and Kate in Baldwin Park, they put their zip code in their Twitter ID, so it is showing up.
Yeah,
But it's
yeah,
doing the search of the bios, so
yeah.
and tweets.
No, you would need to put in a location. But yeah, that would be interesting because I would imagine a lot of people in America understand and know zip codes. Yeah, there's one. I mean, it's picked up one here, Tuto Cafe, Baldwin Park, Orlando, Florida,
Yep,
32814.
that is a
So,
coffee shop. So yeah.
yeah, so it's picked up, and it's picked up one other person that's put 32814. Yeah, in
Yep,
there.
and Provisions and Buzz, that's another place in that area. So yeah, it works. So see, it does work. It's just picking up the, what they've put in their bios. So that's great. I mean, this right here can help you get close to a community, even just this little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just searched for Baldwin Park just as a location, and it's brought up 864 people.
Nice.
So
Try that too.
Baldwin Park, yeah, but there seems to be a few different Baldwin Parks. So California's got
Yeah,
one.
there's one in California. I think there's one in Colorado too. But
Let me see if
yeah,
I can. Yeah,
and that cafe shows up again under
this is the
Baldwin
amazing
Park.
thing about the web and having a presence, right? People find you, and this is why it's so important. And this is why, going back to the idea of people starting a business, is your markets are very, very large, but because the whole world's your market, right?
Right.
So now
Right.
this little cafe keeps popping up in our searches.
Right now,
right?
how many people are going to start searching for a Tutu Cafe? It's an Italian little coffee shop here in Baldwin. They're in Baldwin Park, so and they are brand new, so they're doing pretty good if they're showing up.
There you go. Well, you should go on in there and so yeah, I searched for Baldwin Park, Florida, and it's brought up 9 people. It says 9 people on Twitter have Baldwin Park, Florida in their location, including Jack's Steakhouse, Skin Studio Orlando, Baldwin Park Events, Baldwin Park Rotary. So yeah, so there's various ways you can, and of course the data is so vast and big and not perfect that you have to fiddle around a little bit, right?
Right, but I think the thing here that I really appreciate is that when you hover, you get their bio, you get how many tweets when their account was created, how many tweets per day. I mean, it's just kind of a nice little overview of if they are active, do you want to follow them? It gives you a little bit of insight too. So I think that's great. And it also gives you their website. So,
What's interesting, Jennifer, is that we get, this is the difficulty having a product where so many people use it. Every now and then I get quite a terse email from someone saying, I heard such great things about your product and I tried desperately to use it and I don't know what is going on and it is so complicated. And that's the challenge, is to capture the complexity, but make help everyone understand it. So it's interesting watching you move around and seem to seamlessly flow through it, and some other people just struggle with it so much. We all have such a unique lens onto the world, right?
Right. Well, and I think Twitter, at least for me, because I work with a lot of small businesses, and I will tell you almost every conversation, they don't understand Twitter. Twitter is the hardest. To me, it's easy, but it's the hardest one for people to understand how to use. And
I think it's because, ironically, it's actually the most versatile platform. So it's not, Instagram's photos, LinkedIn's business, Facebook's friends and family, and Twitter,
There's
Well, it's sort of
information.
everything. It's
Yeah.
sort of everything, but it's also none of them, and it's its own thing, and it's information curation, but it's also chatting, and it's also celebrity, and it's so the versatility just makes it a very difficult, complex sell.
Yep.
Um,
And but you can do everything. And actually I find when I used to work for a corporation doing business development, I would use
mhm.
Twitter to search for the local businesses that I wanted to target for my business so that I could see what's going on. What are they doing? Are they having events? And it gave me such insight into the businesses before I showed up there to try to discuss
Well, we've
business.
got, you know,
So,
the phrase social selling. Yeah, you know, we've got a great couple of articles on our blog about social selling, and it's incredibly powerful. One of the blogs written by a great friend and evangelist of our product, Evan Dunn, has got this great social selling technique where he connects with people on Twitter, he engages with them a little bit, he then connects with them on LinkedIn, and they're familiar with him because he's engaged with them a bit on Twitter. Then he pushes for a meeting with them, and when he's got this great funnel going, initiated through these social platforms. So yes, they can be very, very powerful.
right, right. And so I love Twitter. I've always, the eGen Solutions, Twitter is a rather new one. I have two other ones that have been around a long time, a little bit more busy, but I enjoy Twitter, love it, and how easily you can connect, as you said, with people. I don't think people realize that. What is your favorite part of Twitter? Like how, because you obviously love
Oh,
Twitter. Is there a
I love
favorite
Twitter
thing?
because I'm an information junkie, and
Yeah.
I love smart people, and you can follow smart people on Twitter, and smart people share interesting things. So I've got a Twitter list. So that's a great other feature, by the way, Twitter lists, which is
I
a
haven't gone
way
to
of,
that yet, so
yeah.
I need to
So
look for that. Where I
Twitter
go.
lists, you can, so this is a Twitter, not a ManagerFlitter feature. So actually a
Oh,
Twitter.
okay. Oh, Twitter list that way. I thought it was on your.
Yeah.
Sorry, I
Yeah.
thought it was on
No,
your. I'm like, I could do my list here too.
there's a bit of list, like for example on ManagerFlitter you can whitelist everyone on your Twitter list so you don't unfollow them
Yeah,
and
I'm
things
trying
like
to
that.
think. Where's my home here? If I can, I haven't personally done it on this account, but yes, lists. So if you are on lists or have lists, you can see them here. So you can see I'm member of a few different lists. So my account is on these lists.
So yeah, Twitter. So I've got a curated list that I've built up over the years called Startup, and I follow all these people that they entrepreneurs, they academics, they venture capital people, and of course you get access to the best across the world. And because one of my passions is startup and entrepreneurship, um, I sit at work with my TweetDeck open. I've got 3 screens, TweetDeck's on one of my screens, and I've got different columns for my different Twitter lists and my different categories, like the at replies to my account and the ManagerFlitter account. And I'm just seeing all the tweets from these people on the Twitter list, and then I'm learning throughout the day. I feel like I'm in a conference of smart people constantly.
That's an interesting. That's very interesting. I'll bet that you get a lot of content ideas and content to share yourself from that.
Sure, and I get a lot of ideas for and inspiration for everything. Finding new books to read, new research, any other trends or products. It's just a big part of my job is staying in touch with what's happening. A big part of my job, and also I'm a leader to about 15 people as well. So I share interesting bits and pieces with them, and I need to keep one eye on where everything's going. So, but not everyone's an information junkie. Not everyone, a lot of people, for instance, a lot of people watch Netflix, and sometimes I think, how come I don't have time to watch Netflix? Well, I'm actually reading Twitter, and reading Quora is another one of my favorite sites.
Yeah, I've started to really go into that as well. I love it.
Quora is fantastic.
Yeah.
It's question and answer site. So everyone's got their, their passions, and I'm lucky that I've managed to align my passion with my work. Not everyone can do that. And Twitter really fits nicely into that. So yeah.
Well, I'm really happy that we were able to talk about Twitter because like I said, not a lot of people like it. But I
Yes.
found so much benefit with it that it is a learning curve though, like you said, from Instagram and Facebook, how to use it. So definitely. So
It's
you don't have a favorite feature. The list is your favorite feature then.
but yeah, the
Yeah.
lists definitely allow me to, because I follow, I think, I think I'm following about 5,000 people, and about 5,000 people are following me. So, and that ranges from friends, families, colleagues, industry people. So I don't necessarily want to look at my main feed a lot of the time. And there's just too much, it will
Yeah.
become a little bit, sometimes I do look at that feed because it is interesting,
Right.
but during the day, I actually only want to get pings. And another good feature, which people might not be totally aware of, is you can actually toggle notifications, phone notifications, for certain accounts only, right? So if you've got 5 or 10 people that are super interesting, like, I don't know, Jack Dorsey, the CEO of Twitter, and I don't know, Jay-Z or whoever, you can actually configure on your mobile app to get notifications just for those accounts. And that can be quite useful.
I did see that, but I had forgotten about that. You're right. You can do that for certain ones. So that is a very good tip. Thank you. Yeah.
You can even competitors, for example, or or potential clients, and you can always configure them on and off and change them every day. It's super easy to do. No one knows that you've configured that notification, so I don't know if someone's configured anytime I tweet. Maybe they have, maybe they haven't. But taking control over your Twitter notifications, super, super useful.
Yeah, and you can mute people too. So if you followed them, you can mute them as well, if for whatever reason. There's just a lot of control with it too, I've found. And I, of course, love the hashtags. Not a lot of people understand hashtags, but I love hashtags. I'm like a hashtag. I love to click and see what people are talking about under that hashtag.
Yeah,
That's always fun for me.
Hashtags sort of became a bit popular after I started using Twitter. I started using Twitter when you couldn't even share images on Twitter. It sounds so archaic. And there was a third-party product. There were a few third-party products, but there was a third-party product called TwitPic, where you had to
I remember
upload
that.
TwitPic and share the link from TwitPic. And
that's right.
So I used to, I know, I used to actually love text-only Twitter. I mean, Twitter looks really busy for me these days with animated GIFs and live video. And I still love just these, it was a lot more personal. People would share a lot more what's on their mind. And it was much more of a chat room. But look, things change. It's the way it is. But you remain nostalgic sometimes.
And I remember each little person's profile was like a little chiclet on the side. That's how long ago it was. And I remember my first Twitter follower was the LA Fire Department. And here I was in Arkansas at the time. Why am I following the LA Fire Department? But then I thought that's kind of cool because they're showing these crashes and stuff that are happening. So it just evolved from there. But anyway, that was a long time ago, and I love Twitter. I love your program.
Thank you.
Is there anything else that you'd like to share with our listeners?
Look, there's a lot happening on our side. We're building a mobile app, which actually I can probably give you an exclusive by giving you a little showing via the camera. So one of the requests over the years is, the two biggest requests were to have a mobile app and also to have features for Instagram. Funnily enough, we were building features for Instagram, and Instagram changed their API and disallowed a lot of, so we actually lost a lot of work and time so we can't really do that. We'd love to offer ManagerFlitter equivalent for Instagram. So then there's also there's a more corporate version of our product coming out called Manage Social. That's going to have totally reworked UI, reworked features, going to have reworked sort of user management, workflow. It's more for bigger companies that have teams working on social. That we're quite excited about. But ManagerFlitter is still going to continue to kick along and do good things. So yeah, we've been pretty busy on our side. I'm just going to quickly show you, because no one outside of ManagerFlitter has actually seen this yet. So
good. We get an exclusive.
And it's still just a little prototype. So
okay. Yep,
you'll be able to just have, it'll be super simple. You'll be able to either go into custom filters or default filters.
Okay.
And you'll have a little dashboard. Here's the dashboard here.
So the filters that would allow you to kind of scan through Twitter. Oh, there we go.
Okay. You'll have a little dashboard with some metrics, and yeah, I'll show you how the unfollowing will look as well. So,
and is that similar to
people that won't follow you back, and then that aren't following you back, and then you'll be able to just unfollow them,
all from your phone?
So you'll be able to do quite. We're going to keep it, simple, and we'll, we very. I think people will be able to do a lot and want to do a lot on their phone as well. But the challenge is to try and get, for such a complex product, it's a challenge to simplify it so that it's still very useful on the phone.
I would think that the follow unfollow is an important feature for everybody. Am I guessing that right?
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people use it to clean up their accounts and unfollow people every now and then and get rid of fake followers. And then, to find people to connect with that are in their space, which is a lot easier to do on ManagerFlitter than on Twitter.
Yes. And that's actually how we use it for our clients, is especially local clients, is just to try to get out there within that local community. But as far as national, then the hashtags for us become a little bit more important and engagement. But no, I love the program. So I'm very happy. Well, thank you.
And if anyone wants to reach out to me personally, starting a business or, always happy to connect with people. You can find me on Twitter, KE_GA, or you can just send me a note through LinkedIn as well. Just you can find me, Kevin Garber, on LinkedIn. And feel free to reach out and connect, and always happy to try and people have helped me over the years. So always passionate about what startups and business can do for the economy and do for the world. So we just need to help each other along the way.
I would imagine that you have a lot of, can give a lot of advice for starting a business. Definitely. Definitely. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate your time. I know you've got to get going to another meeting, but I really appreciate your time here, Kevin. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Jennifer. Really appreciate it. And drop me a line when it's live. We'll share it with everyone.
I will. All right. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye-bye.